Welcome to another episode of my Motortown playthrough. Today we are back at the harbor again, and this is because I recently bought this Kuda semi-truck on one of the episodes, and today is time to check how it's going to perform having to tow a really heavy load. This is of course a fully loaded tanker trailer, so this is what we are gonna deal with today, and it's going to be interesting to see how well it performs. However, before that, I want to have another look at the Golema, because this one for the longest time used to be my only semi-truck, and back then I made a claim about it feeling really weird with how the steering went, because it felt like it was more steering from the middle and the rear tires were kinda dragging, and yeah, I think that may have been improved. Back then it really felt unnatural, and I noticed a while ago that that may not be the case anymore. I may have to ask a few other people on Discord as well. Sadly, I don't have any direct comparison between the old version and the new one, but this right now, yeah, it kind of feels pretty good, I would say. I will maybe look back on my other episode as well to see the difference in a at least slightly comparable way, but yeah, right now I don't feel there anything being wrong with it. So that's good. That wasn't the case before. But I'm happy that hopefully it got improved. Maybe I'm just too dumb right now to notice it. That is also a valid option. Who knows? No, but I just wanted to have a quick look and show it on camera because I got a comment a while ago about somebody else just noticing it from the video that I made back then. So it definitely wasn't only me. There was an entire thread about it on the Discord as well. But yeah, anyways, on to the main course today, and that's gonna be the tanker trailer, the Kuda semi-truck, and the destination that is at the Migeum log warehouse. And yeah, I just want to do this to set up for finally using the Jemusi Tanker. I could of course also just use it on something else, because it can also just be used as a regular tanker delivery vehicle. Doesn't need off-road stuff, but I mean it has all the off-road gadgets, and therefore it's kind of a given that you want to use it for something like that, where it can really shine instead of just being about as good as maybe the Kira tanker or something. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it in the episode where I got the Jemusi Tanker, but it also has the option to sell the fuel, so while that can be good for some stuff, like maybe if I want to do some transportation of containers between the Darsa harbor and Sanho, where you don't really have any gas station in reach, then yeah, that might be a good option to just place it there at some location. But in the end, I think that's a bit of a gimmick, and that might have been better just left to the Brutus tanker, so it has some something unique for it. Because right now, while I mean the Jemusi tanker is a bit faster than the Brutus tanker. It also has the whole off-road lockable. Speaking of the Jemusi, it has the whole off-road capable lockable diff and everything, so that is just as good in that regard. So I don't know, the Brutus tanker just kind of feels like right now it doesn't really have that much going for it, apart from just being based on an Unimog, and therefore some people are just gonna gravitate to that, which is also kind of viable. I mean, oh god, it's yeah, for people who like that kind of model, it's good, but it would be nice if it had something unique that makes it a bit better than other vehicles in some regard. on a technical level. And I don't think just having more seats counts there. I don't think we can use it as a limousine or as a taxi or something. And no, this is not a plea for the dev to add a taxi license to that vehicle. Just to be clear. Yeah. Since we're already speaking of other vehicles, there is another thing that I kind of wanted to talk about a bit. It's something that I brought up on the Discord a while ago, and yeah, I had to put it in the vehicle suggestion channel, which doesn't really seem to get anywhere apart from just having 1,000 messages in there. And that was the idea of having a tow truck variant of the Dory. Is it Dora? Or I think it's Dory, the old style American pickup truck. I mean, these kind of things have existed in real life, and something tells me that at some point the Pulio is also gonna be due to a replacement. Then again, I don't think that vehicle would be a replacement for the Pulio. It would be more like an ultralight, very cheap entry version of a tow truck and something like that. And the Pulio likely will still need another model. I mean, at least it's a bit too big for what it's supposed to be in the game, and I don't know. I'm not sure if they would remodel the entire thing or if they could actually scale it down and have it work that way. Honestly, at this point, I'm mostly scared about losing the one that I have in-game, because I like the decals that I have on it. That's of course not enough of a reason to prevent progress from happening, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the one that I have here. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, I would really like to see a Dory variant that has the whole tow truck setup in the back. It's realistic, and it could be quite nice as like a really fast early game version. And after all, the Pulio is already more of a like mid-duty kind of deal. So just having a really light-duty version would also be kind of cool. But that's another thing where something that I mentioned, I think like 2 episodes ago, about me wishing they went down with this whole idea of having multiple setups for the same truck instead of like making every single variant its own thing. Like being able to swap out cargo beds, that would have been nice. Because then you could maybe just have a conversion for the Dory if it ever gets that tow truck attachment. Okay, I should not try to overtake with this heavy of a truck. By the way, when it comes to the suspension setup here, I may need to zoom in a bit closer. The rear is all 500% springs, and I think also dampers. Front is a tiny bit softer, but it's also lowered. The rear was really not quite as much lowered as the front. It was kinda doing a bit of a stance with it being so much lower in the front. But yeah, it's kind of working. Should look from the other side so I don't have grass in the way. Maybe I need to get the rear a bit further up, but I'm not entirely sure about the entire thing. Triple axle trucks are definitely the way to go, and I've also seen a suggestion for maybe making a triple axle variant of the Kuda, or maybe allowing people to just change the setup to get a third axle in the rear. I mean, either way it would be cool. because after we got the new trailers and everything, with things being much heavier now, well, before it worked out pretty well with all the different semi-trucks. Two axle, 3-axle didn't really matter too much. They all could do everything, and while technically they still can do, I mean, anybody who doesn't like seeing the thing get so low in the rear, it just yeah, it doesn't really look like it's supposed to do that. I mean, on this one it's fine, but especially with the SRT. Anyways, yeah, for the heavy stuff, it's very restrictive if you want to look the part, and you are most likely just gonna go with a 3-axle truck. I mean, which is also kind of a point of 3 axles, but what's really left for the double axle truck, the old 4x2s. And yeah, there's really not that much. I mean, of course, you can go with the drive-in trailer, with a flanker. I think containers are getting pretty iffy already, unless you want to do one of the shorter trailers, which I don't really tend to do. I usually just go for the 40-foot trailer and then just load onto that whatever I need at the moment. But yeah, with all of that in mind, yeah, just the basic boxes and pallets and that kind of stuff for the most part. And yeah, I didn't pay any attention to the thing overheating. Okay, quick sound check. I must have really tuned down the thing quite a bit for some reason, I don't know. Also, I'm slowly running low on fuel, because this is one of the fuel trucks that doesn't have an optional fuel expansion. So the other ones have additional tanks. This one sadly doesn't. Same as with Golema, so after this highway bit I definitely have to refuel. Also gonna be interesting seeing what the thing can do on the off-road section in Migeum. Definitely not gonna take it too far into the mountains. Always gotta keep the buses running, otherwise I'm just not gonna make any money with them. Obviously. Let me just check. Yeah, they are running pretty well, I would say. Eventually I need to actually trail the Lilliput a bit. I fully upgraded it, and I mean, you can see on the map that it's actually doing quite a few meters here, but yeah, I'll have to check back in on that later down the line. See if it's actually efficient, if it's not overloading all the time or just leaving passengers behind. But that's something to be figured out at some point. Later down the line, I'll need to get back into the whole bus business in a big way again. That's definitely something where you can fiddle with bus routes quite a lot and just see how different bus setups work and how much money it's gonna make you, how much bonus you're gonna get. And it also just makes a lot of money just driving a bus yourself, as I found out between episodes quite recently. So buses are all around a pretty good time, I would say. Not perfect, but definitely a lot of fun to do stuff with. At least in single player. Multiplayer it's a bit different, of course, because, well, biggest multiplayer server, the most active one, is TWL, and they have some restrictions. I think buses right now are outlawed again. They tried allowing them for some limited time to see how performance would be, but in the end they didn't really it didn't really go too well with at least the type of bonus you would get from them. With so many different players having one bus. Are you kidding me? With so many different players having one bus each, it's not gonna do too much, and just trying to synchronize and organize everything, it's gonna be yeah, a bit of a hard time setting that up efficient, even though in grand total you might end up with a lot more buses. Also, I should maybe mention I didn't really look too closely at the final drive ratio, but at least we are not constantly maxing out in top gear, so that's alright by me. But there's definitely room for improvement where I just switched out the engine and kept everything else the same in that regard. Also, one last point I want to make about the Pulio, and also the thing that I talked about the last episode with the Townie and the new, I think it's called Bongo. And it's supposed to be a T2 yeah, VW transporter or VW bus kind of thing. It would be really nice, and I don't know if devs know all the time themselves. It would be really nice if there was a list for vehicles that still needed to be changed, just to see what's really planned for them in the future. Especially if you own them already, or if you want to buy them, so that you know that, yeah, that one might get another model sooner than later, that one might need to get some stuff done or just scaled down or something. One thing I would really like to see for the Townie, and I don't know if it would be accurate, but it would be a huge help, just replacing the doors that it uses for the bus function with sliding doors. Because those things opening up to the side, I mean, you can plan for it, just park a bit further away from the sidewalk, and it would be much more space efficient if it just was a sliding door. Oh god. I noticed that way too late. Definitely me being asleep at the wheel here. But yeah, when it comes to a list about those vehicles, it would kind of also depend on whether the team has plans set in stone for the vehicles, and if they have formulated them already. Going through the entire roster would be quite a bit of work, and yeah, it's more like if they already have something like that, it would be nice if we could know as well. Just to see what the state of things is. Because otherwise you're always gonna end up doing speculations and assumptions about what's gonna happen. And just having it listed out for you, it would just get rid of a lot of yeah, that kind of speculation. Okay, we are finally at Migeum. Delivered the fuel 32k, which is very decent. I also I think I published that video today about the whole fish transportation. And initially I thought fish actually didn't pay too well, but just looking back at it, yeah, that actually is a decent payout for just going across Lilu around half of it or something and making 10 to 16k or something. That's very respectable. So yeah, in hindsight, I would say that payout is most likely kind of where it needs to be, unless a lot of other things change. Okay, getting rid of a tanker here. And replacing my Kuda with the Jemusi. And the tanker variant of that. So let's see how this one goes. Okay, and this is actually serving multiple areas, so we're gonna have to see about that. I wanna center the map maybe a bit further on here. So we can bring it back up north to Baiyang, which expectedly isn't worth all that much. We can go to Migeum Oak 1. The regular logging areas, which we don't really need that truck for. I mean, yeah, I think I'm just gonna take it to Oak 3. I mean, what else are we gonna do here? So let's see how this one goes. I'm a bit scared of the entire thing. After all, this should be very heavy. I don't know how much the oak logs weigh, but then again, oak logs are much more top heavy. And this seems to be at least nicely planted. So much lower center of gravity, and I mean the wheels are not all that far out. I think I got the wheel spacers, but yeah, it's not going any further. But yeah, this thing is handling itself very well. I just gotta be careful not to tip it over, and especially with any of the larger rocks here. I think that was the left wheels losing ground contact. I don't know for sure. I don't want to repeat this. And yeah, I shouldn't be revving it up that high. That's on me. Also, from what I heard, the trip that I'm about to make is something that even the Kira tanker can do. I don't know if people had a special setup for that, but apparently Kira tanker is also quite off-road capable. I don't really want to try that. I would have to buy that one. God dang it. I tried turning in a bit too much, and yeah. Yeah, I didn't need the interior light. I can see that something went wrong without that. When it comes to like giving a conclusion to the Kuda trip that I just did, yeah, I think it would be better off for lighter loads, but yeah, those are not the majority of stuff that I'm doing now. So I'll have to see what I'll be doing with it in the future. It would be nice if maybe the heavy duty vehicles just got another set of heavier springs. So stiffer springs I really mean, and that's just gonna be a bit, that would be a bit better for them. So that the rear axle doesn't, or that the rear springs don't need to compress all that much, and it looks more like it would be working and that kind of thing. But yeah, in the end, there is also another post that I made a while ago about it being better if the whole spring setup was changed, so that it doesn't go with percentages like 150% stiffness, 200%, up to 500 or something, but instead it gave us actual values for that. I would much prefer that. Would make it a bit more consistent, and I mean right now, okay, let's see how we can do fits right here. It's working well, even with without any lock differentials and in high gear ratio. Oh god. It was a bit more lean than I was comfortable with. What the hell did I want to say anyways? But yeah, it would make things a bit more consistent with springs having actual stiffness values and all of that. I mean, right now you also have to consider that if you have something like the Dory and then maybe something like a sports car like the Cora, their 100% default springs are not the same, and therefore everything that you equip are also not the same. If something starts out with really soft... Whee! That was a bit more jumpy than I anticipated. If you have something with really soft suspension by default, then everything that you buy in addition to that is also going to be softer. So theoretically they're... okay, braking doesn't really help here, it seems. I think it's time to really go into the off-road setup here. Maybe fourth gear or something. I don't want to completely redline it all the time, so I need to go with the highest gear possible, but yeah, 6th gear definitely didn't work out there. Oh god. I think what happened there was that you saw that the wheels weren't really touching all that well at some points, and then once some of the wheels really got grip, it started to just give it some weird sideways momentum and then tip the entire thing over. But yeah, right now when it comes to the springs, they are not really consistent. Some of the stuff on one vehicle, if you have 500% stiffness there, it's not going to be the same as on another vehicle with 500%. It's just there aren't really any absolute values that you can take from that. And that also means that if you happen to have some semi-truck that has softer springs like the SRT, it just cannot do the heavier duty stuff because it just doesn't get the springs necessary for that. So I like to just have things that are consistent. Then of course if you have something that has softer springs by default, that would be another different set of springs that you would have to include in the shop. But then again, more options would give also more ways to make more detailed changes to that. So it would work out quite well. Okay, let's see. And another thing that would of course need to be done at that point, just having a different set of springs for just the personal vehicles, the small ones as they are called in this game. Oh god. See, that was another case of the car just going AWOL by just getting some weird reaction with torque. It wasn't really me driving wrong or anything, that's just it got a weird boost by hitting the ground in a weird way and then just completely went the other direction. But yeah, so there should be a different set of springs for regular vehicles, medium duty, heavy duty, semi-trucks, whatever. So yeah, that would also allow for really strong springs for semi-trucks that would not make any sense in regular vehicles. And of course the same for dampers and sway bars. I'm not even entirely sure if all vehicles have sway bars or anti-roll bars as a default. So in that case having only 80% of nothing would also make little sense, same with 200 and even up to 500%, whatever. Although sway bars don't even go that high. Okay, I'm gonna look up something real quick. Give me 1 second. You know the site Motortown Info? That also gives me some information about the vehicle weight, which is something that the game itself should really be doing because that's kinda important. So let me see. Jemusi Tanker. Fuel capacity, 250 liters and all of that. Yeah, that's nice. Stats. By its own, it weighs 2.5 tons. That is before you put the engine in, transmission, anything that adds extra weight, plus also 6 tons of fuel in the back. I don't think a vehicle weighing around, I mean at that point, 8.5 tons, you may be looking at 9 to 10 tons or something. It shouldn't be jumping around like that. Just wanted to make it clear real quick what kind of weight ratio we are looking at, what kind of ballpark this thing is in. And as I mentioned before, while I absolutely love the Jemusi and the stuff that you can do with it, it also kinda serves as a test balloon for the weird physics quirks that this game has. So if they manage to make this thing work perfectly well, then I think the physics are gonna be in a very good state here. Right now it's also generally quite alright. Definitely some jumpiness with some vehicles, and especially tire grip is something that leaves a bit to be desired, but overall the game is not in a bad state. But a lot of things that are not working out correctly is something that you can very easily see with the different Jemusis. So I think that's something that you need to keep in mind here. Oh god. I thought it would at least make the full turn. But yeah, that felt like partially it was my fault because I was taking the turn in a real weird way, but it definitely got a kick from the left wheels, and that got it aggravated to the point where it would just flip over. But I'm gonna go back to 4 high and see if that changes things. Now that there's a wheel slip again and that kind of thing, that might help out. Oh god. That felt a lot more controllable at least. May have been partially my fault this time. I don't want to say that I'm a good driver with what I'm doing here, but I definitely like to suggest that not all that's happening here is strictly my fault either. Two things can be true at the same time. I can be a shit driver and physics can be a bit weird at times. Oh god. I kind of want to call this behavior kicking because it really feels like the wheels are just kicking the back of the entire vehicle up, or the side, or whatever they can do at that point. I do not wish to comment on this thing. Now I'm, of course, turned around. Turn around. Okay, but we made it at least. And thankfully fuel cannot be damaged. I mean, the tanker could theoretically be damaged, which thankfully is not a thing in this game. So we are not causing any catastrophes here. Otherwise, if I was doing this more often, I think we could establish a proper oil fall somewhere around here. Like a waterfall, but yeah, with a different kind of liquid. Maybe not that beneficial to the environment, but certainly a sight to behold. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me for this video. This took a bit longer than I expected. I mean, okay, going up with the Jemusi onto this trail, what did I expect? Certainly not this here. Now theoretically I also have to bring it back down, but I think I'll spare you the details on that. And we'll see each other in the next episode then. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, have a good one, and see you guys next time. Oh god, bye bye.